Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Well, I'm outside today. I'm walking in the main shopping area in my town. Now, this town has many shops. I'm walking in the pedestrianized area, which means no cars are allowed. Unfortunately, around 20 years ago, 30 years ago, one of the governments removed all of the industry from this area, which they did all over the country. It was quite fashionable at the time in the late 80s, early 90s. And the whole area fell into some kind of recession or depression. And the reason for that is because when you don't have an industry, the people were unemployed and there wasn't a lot of money going around. So as a result, many of these shops were boarded up and closed. And it stayed like that up until around, I think, maybe 10, 15 years ago. And the government started various initiatives to bring them back or to try to open more shops. And then they built a huge shopping mall outside of town, which meant any shops which were here quickly moved. And the locals often refer to this area as a kind of a ghost town because there's really nothing here. So that's the backdrop. And I want to now try to describe for you what I'm seeing. Okay, so I'm standing in a pedestrianized area of town. It wasn't always pedestrianized. In fact, it was at one point a very, very busy street with traffic. But because of laws to protect the environment, they eventually pedestrianized it, as they did with many other towns and villages. So it's a very new looking road. It has tiles on it. And the first thing I'm noticing is the quality of the shops. So they're very cheap looking. The first one is a pound shop, everything for £1. It's called Pound Stretcher. And next to that, there's a dilapidated shop, which was a travel agent, but that's long since gone. There's all kinds of adverts on it for a circus, which I think was from 2022. Next to that, there's a bank, which surprisingly is still open. A lot of our bank branches are closed. And then next to that, there's a huge old shop lying empty. I can still see the sign. It's called Marks and Spencer. There's some graffiti written all over it. And then next to that, there's a new shopping mall they've built with lots of empty places in it because not everyone can afford to have shops, of course. On the other side, there's a cafe. And I'm just looking at that cafe now. I was there yesterday. It was delicious, actually. I had some kind of egg thing. Very nice, really. And a newsagent where we buy newspapers. But again, I'd say those days are numbered. And I'm standing outside a shop called Thread X, which is where you go to have your eyebrows threaded if you're into that kind of thing. Ahead of me, there is actually a really, really huge old church. It's closed down, but the building's still there. It's now some kind of conference centre. It was called Coutts Baptist Church. It was known as the Baptist Cathedral of Europe, so that gives you some idea as to how big it is. Massive, absolutely huge. And now it does nothing. Absolutely nothing. They couldn't afford to keep it open. And the government, I think, intervened to try and save it, but I think it's still owned by the government now. It's certainly used by them. The library and museum, they're renovating, so there's workmen on scaffolding there. A few hairdressers. Again, a boarded up pharmacy saying under new ownership, pharmacy and travel clinic. Oh, well, that's interesting. I know where to go for my jabs if I ever go traveling again. And now I've just turned around and walked down to the end of the pedestrian centre. And there's a huge town hall. Now that's all closed up as well. It's not used anymore, but they've renovated it and they're trying to reopen it. But it's not. I mean, it doesn't have an office in it. I think, as you know, town hall is usually the word town hall means civic office for the government. But we've really moved past that here. They've all built government offices behind the town halls or in other parts of the town. So it was a town hall, really, still called the town hall, but it's just like a theatre or art exhibition space. And it's closed now anyway for renovations. Okay, I'm now in the main square of my town. Every square in the UK has some kind of war memorial dedicated to the First and Second World War. Now, I can understand why they do that. Obviously, it's a historical thing, and these monuments are protected, and they have the names of the dead written on them, people who were killed during the war. I think most places across Europe have one of these. Yeah, and there's flowers at it. Obviously, people remember, but everyone's getting older, so I don't know how long these things will last, because I think people these days aren't so interested. And also the different faces of our institutions, like the government, the military, and the church, these are the ones who keep this alive. So I think if we think about the churches, they're all closing now. I think there's only one or two left in this town. It was very religious at one point, but only one or two left. So once they go, there's no military bases around here. So I don't know what will happen to memorials like this. Who will protect them or look after them or lay flowers at them? So that's another British tradition which will be disappearing soon. Now, yeah, there's another bank. Oh, well, that's good to know. They're still open at least. And yes, another shopping centre, which I'll be going into in a second. It's a little bit dilapidated, this one. I mean, it's very nice that it's there, but it's hardly top of the range, which is a great pity. And looking the other way, there's the river, which is a great inspiration for poetry. I love thinking about that river when I'm writing poetry. And behind there, I can see the old mill buildings, which were industrial and now are lying empty. They've kind of converted them into office space, which is nice. So that's looking nice. And there's a statue of a very distinguished gentleman. I don't know who he is. It might be Mr. Weatherspoon. He was a famous religious man around here. Oh, here we are, yes. The statue of this man is Mr. Coates, the one who built the Baptist church I was telling you about earlier. He owned those mills, the buildings I can see in the distance. So that's very, very interesting. Yes, so there we are. So I'm just trying to walk down off this war memorial. If any of you have Scottish ancestors that you're interested in, and come from this area, tell me, because all the Scottish records are online. I might be able to find some information for you. Okay, so now I'm approaching the train station. The one thing I'm noticing today, more than ever, and it is very early, but the one thing I'm noticing really is diversity. So most of the people that I'm seeing who are out and around and walking about would appear to be Indian, African, people of other nationalities generally. And they're all hurrying to their jobs and work. This is an unemployment black spot. I think once the town fell into... that's a rubbish truck that just passed me there. Once the town fell into a recession, a lot of people just gave up. I mean, I know my grandfather, he worked in one of the local factories. He was made redundant when he was, I think, in his 40s or 50s. Did some local part-time jobs after that, but he kind of lost the will to work. And of course, his children were the same, because that place employed many local people and many families. I think one of our local factories, a steel factory, my great-great-great-grandparents, actually great six generations, yes, they came here to build those factories and then worked in them, and so did all their children. So I don't think it ever recovered. So a lot of the kids and the younger generations didn't really know what to do, because they had just assumed they would be going to work in the local factories, you know. Oh, here's the post office. Well, this used to be a huge post office. It was the post office sorting office. It was the place to be at one point, but now it's a pub. So everything is becoming very glamorous and entertaining, but the actual things which we had that we needed to get things moving have all gone. I'm not sure if that means the town is more insignificant or if it's actually digital. And yeah, the railway station as well is just ahead of me there. Yeah, very nice and lovely place. Yeah, lovely place. I mean, I was born in this town, so it's very nice. I can hear the church bell ringing behind me. It's not actually the church bell. They have a bell on top of the old town hall building. So lovely. It's very grey looking though. I think it's because they built it that way. It looks very Victorian. Lots of grey buildings, red sandstone buildings as well. And that's it. So I'm now at the shopping centre. I'm just about to walk inside. And in case you're wondering, this town where I am just at the moment, it's called Paisley, and it's in southwest Scotland. So I went to school very close to here in the next town. And then my parents, as you know, moved to England, and that's where I was educated. I'm just looking at a sign here that there's a Gaelic festival. That's another thing that's up and coming. When I was a boy, if you spoke Gaelic, you would have had your jaw broken. It really wasn't fashionable. But now Gaelic, the indigenous language, is very fashionable. And yes, Mod Faslich is coming up soon. I don't know why they bother, to be honest, but at least it gets the people to actually do something. It's a Gaelic music festival, and I'll be there, of course, from the 13th of October. I'm sure you can find details online. And that's it from me. So I hope you've enjoyed this little walk around my town. There'll be no transcript today, unfortunately, because I'm out, and I'm not going to be home in time to do one, to post it. Okay, so yeah, have a look around the internet. You'll see some lovely pictures. On a nice day, this town can actually look quite attractive. Yeah, but if you take a closer look, unfortunately, it's a little bit dilapidated. I mean, it has a massive abbey. Paisley Abbey is very famous, but it's on the way out, as all churches are, because the upkeep is huge. I mean, it must cost them millions every year to try to keep a medieval building open for tourists. And I don't think there's so many people come. Right, see you all soon then. Have a nice day. Bye.